Yay! We're live. Hello, world. We just kind of hang out for a second and let people get the notification pop up on their phone and join us when we get to our traditional little first couple people commenting. Then we'll jump in and start the actual content of the show. You'll know when we start. We actually have a theme song. And
yeah, and I'm going to step out for a quick second.
Cool. Yes, please go get beer number. This would be the time to get beer number one, which is Peoples Beer, if you don't have it ready.
He's just going to go stock up on more Imperial Stout. I mean, black lager.
He is, yeah.
Black lagers are important too.
They are.
I thought that was a very dark Pilsner.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry about that,
having
guys.
trouble streaming to Facebook. No. Well, if anyone is having trouble seeing us, we should post.
Well, like I said, I'm on right now, so.
You're on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
And it's working fine.
Me too.
Okay, that's good.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Oh, please.
The hackers got you, see?
The hackers got you. Gosh.
Must be that cat.
We did have basically a hacker the other day.
Really?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, remember all the comments?
No, not a hacker, a spammer. That's
spammer. Yeah. Thank you.
So how about them Padres?
Still 4-2? Is it still 4-2 right now?
Yeah, it's still 4-2. We still got a chance.
This game,
it's baseball season.
They're hitting and getting on base where they were last game.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
That thing.
The day that we're talking about.
Is the game above you, Brandon? Because you keep looking up. All right.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be like that the whole time. He's going to be like that.
St. Louis.
I can give look up Brandon's nose the whole night. Look at that. Look at that nostrils. Look at those nostrils.
That's fascinating what you're saying right now. Oh, I totally agree. What?
Oh, perfect. All right, let's do it.
You look like all the customers that come at Society when they're all looking up at the menu, so it's all good.
Hello and welcome to the Indie Beer Show. Thank you guys for jumping and having your fun during the outro. It's very important to do something during our intro. But this week we are joined by Oak Park Brewing and Theodore Ted Mack to talk about their very special beer, Peoples Beer. We'll get to that in a second. Let's start with Jeff. Why don't you tell us what your role is at Oak Park Brewing?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I am one of the two brewers here at Oak Park Brewing Company, and I was here when it relaunched as a new company. So been here since the beginning.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Right
And Rodg, how about you? What's your role at Oak Park Brewing?
Yeah, so I'm also one of the two brewers. Jeff and I were like the Bottles and James of the beer world. So yeah, we brew beer, we have fun, we educate and create. That's what we do all day, every day.
Right on.
That's awesome. A great little slogan you got there.
Yeah.
Bottles and James of Brewing. All right, Mr. Mack, please introduce yourself and tell us how this effort started.
Well, my name is Ted Mack. I represent the Mack family and the legacy of my father, first black man to own a brewery in the United States of America. We have a collaboration going on with Oak Park Brewery, and that is why I'm here today, because this is, in October 10th, will be the 50th anniversary of my father buying Peoples Beer. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, speaking of that beer, I just poured it. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. This is a very special collaboration. Let's zoom in on Abel so you guys can see the can. So once again, this beer is made in collaboration with Mr. Mack's estate and son so that they can honor the first African American that owned a brewery in America. And it was also called Peoples Brewing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so what I found so amazingly interesting about this story, and one of the reasons that sparked me hoping to set up this interview tonight, was this is your father's original recipe?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wow.
That is great. So, Raj, Jeff, for you guys, how did it stack up to a normal craft beer lager recipe? And what was there any difficulty in brewing it in a small brew house?
So yeah, so for us, it was we had traditionally been brewing another light American lager called our Lookup Lager. It was 5%. This one came in a little lower at 4.7 according to the original recipe. The main difference on it from our original lager is that it uses flaked corn as an adjunct, and then it also uses a proprietary yeast blend from Y Yeast called the American Lager yeast that originates back to the 1950s, 60s, 70s, way back then. And they have a proprietary hold on it, so you have to order it 3 weeks in advance. They prop it up, and it's the original yeast that they used back in the day on Peoples Beer. So
Nice.
Man.
That is phenomenal. So you are also able to source the same yeast. That's thank you to yeast banks of the world.
No, right?
There's so much to geek out on that rabbit hole for anyone that wants to pull it up. Absolutely. So Ted, can you kind of describe your father's, life and brewing experience that led up to him buying People's Beer?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing when I did the history myself, and I was part of the history by living it with Pops, but I was a little kid back then. But in writing the book, I got so much information. My father was originally a civil rights giant in Wisconsin. He led what was called CORE, which is the Congress of Racial Equality. And he was a lieutenant of C.L. Franklin, who was really the father of Aretha Franklin, who headed up the Northern Leadership Conference. So my father really organized and led the March on Washington from Wisconsin. But he knew that there was something else. He knew that to really get freedom and power, it was not just in a vote. We as a people needed economic equality and empowerment. And he believed that we must become owners and to supply those good paying jobs in the Black community. So one day when he was coming home, there was somebody waiting on him. That person was John Wyndham, CEO of Pabst Blue Ribbon. He's also the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce in Milwaukee. This was during the time when Martin Luther King got killed. There was violence in the streets, worse than what we have right now. As a kid, I remember a tank coming down the street, and that kind of shocked me because behind them were white guys with machine guns, and I ran home. So Wyndham told my father that change must come. And he said he was observing my father's, and he had an opportunity for my father. But Pops let him know right away that I'm not a house N-word. It basically was saying that I'm a Black man to be reckoned with. So Wyndham said, I know who you are. And he wanted my father to meet him at the brewery. Well, my father arrived like a half an hour before they opened. And what really impressed my father was Wyndham was already there. And he said, a man of excellence. So they took a tour of the brewery, and Wyndham asked my father, how many Blacks did you see? And my father said, less than the fingers on my one hand. And he asked me, is that fair? My father said, no, that's not fair. Milwaukee has 30% Black population, and your brewery should have 30% of Black workers. And Wyndham agreed. And he wanted my father to be the one to make that change. But my father said the only way I would take that move if I can only report to you. Wyndham agreed, and my father hired 300 men. Now, my father proved to be an excellent manager, and eventually Wyndham had my father learn the whole business, except for the brewmaster. Then the hand of destiny came forth, and an antitrust suit was brought against Pabst Blue Ribbon to divest itself of Pabst Brewery. I felt a opportunity for me to get a seat at the corporate table. And he saw an opportunity, and Pops was the kind of man that went for it. He wrote a proposal for over $9 million, which was approved by Black bankers out of New York City. Wow. And then the day of the bid, this is in 1969, 68, In the day of the bid, Dad's company, United Black Enterprises, shocked white establishments by being the highest bids. Then that monster that we have today called systemic racism came to halt Black progress. G. Heinemann was allowed to up their bid to 10.8 million, but not the Black company. But my father was not a man to quit. He had no quit in him. He was determined to win. So he kept looking. A lot of junk was sent his way, but he knew the business, so he was nobody's sucker. Then came an offer from this small brewery out of all-white Oshkosh, Wisconsin. My father was intrigued and he went to examine it. But he knew one thing, he was not an engineer. So he called his friend Wyndham. Wyndham owed Dad something. So he sent his best engineers and a brewmaster to check it out. Now they made a few changes, but the rest is U.S. brewing history. That's it.
That is an incredible
That's
story.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's go ahead, Estella.
I'm just wondering, like, how difficult was it for him being a Black man coming into this industry that obviously is not Black? I mean, it's still not even, where it needs to be.
Let me tell you something. In writing the book, Man Unafraid, Reflections of My Father, which will be coming out early part of next year, and reading my father's memoirs, which will be coming out at the same time, there was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
My father was a civil rights giant, like I said, and he used that to propel him in business because he helped get governors, senators, and congressmen in office. So there's a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it right here. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you a little history.
All right. Please do.
Yeah.
This right here. Here we go.
Yeah. Left and right's backwards.
You see it? I know. You see my father right there with this finger pointing at this man's nose?
Yeah.
That's the governor of Wisconsin.
Wow.
At that time, the governor told my father and a lot of other Blacks, my father was one of the leaders in the civil rights movement in Milwaukee. And he brought all the Black politicians. He told them that, hey, we got you in office, so you need to do something for us. And next time you bring a judgeship up, we want a Black judge in Milwaukee. Well, he called them all together and, called all the Blacks, and they were all excited, right? We finally gonna get a Black judge. And he had another white judge in place. And my father he said they were so mad they were about to cuss him out, but my father said, we can't do that. See, a Black man can't act like Trump. Obama couldn't do like Trump. Y'all got him out.
Oh, yeah.
And so
let me interrupt you.
I gotta deal with it with class. I gotta deal with it with intelligence. And he said, after I cooled down, I went to him. That's when the finger went up. Hey, I put you in office because he had the Black vote. I put you in office and I would take you out of office. So my father was one that would stand up to power. He didn't care about the consequences. He was, we called him the wild bull because he was bold enough to stand, and he had to, because when he was a little boy, this is where it came from. My dad, his mother was the child of a slave. My dad picked cotton, and he went to owning breweries and doing a lot of things, administrative hospitals and all this. But he started out picking cotton, and it's something in life, things drive us. So something that drove my father was this. When he was young, he wrote in his book, and this kind of brought tears to my eyes. He said, I was plowing the cotton field behind a mule. He said, a truck of whites guys stopped. They started laughing at me. And they said, I'm going to just say it. They said, nigga, aren't you smart enough to know that you're not supposed to walk behind a mule, you're supposed to ride it? And they started laughing at him. And that cut to his heart. Then he said the second thing that motivated him was when he went into the old country store, owned by the white guy, okay, of course, but his son was about the same age as my father. They knew each other, okay? The white guy told my father that from now on, you got to call my son sir. And he was a young child like my father. And my father said, sir, he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he said, so you want them uppity N words. Then he prophesied to my father. He said, you're going to be nothing but a drunk, and you're going to die with a bottle in your hand at the age of 40. You're going to be nothing like the rest of them N words are nothing. That right there motivated my father. He was like, I am not going to be what this man just said. So when he brought Peoples beers, he told my mother, Pearl, I got somewhere to go. And she said, where are you going? I got to go back. He said, oh, I know where you're going. You're going back to that man's store, aren't you? I got to let him know what this man he prophesied about did. And my father went to Prattville, Alabama, where he came from, walked in the store. There was a son. Now he's a man, and dad's a man. And he said, where's your father? He went and got his father and brought him out. And my father was getting ready. My father was very intelligent. He was bold, and he was a big, strong guy, you know. So he wasn't scared of nobody. He wasn't black or white. He wasn't scared of him. But Pops did this. He said, remember when you told me what I was going to be as a child? He said, guess what? I just finished buying a brewery. I played football at Ohio State for Woody Hayes. I finished my degree at Marquette University, and I just brought a brewery. And you said I wasn't going to be nothing. And he said, now what you got to say? And my father's waiting for him to say something nasty because my father was going to really tear into him. And the guy said, you know what, Ted? We've heard about what you've been doing. I am so sorry for what I did. Please accept my apologies. You go ahead and have a good life. You keep doing the good things you're doing. And my father said, wow, this dude, he blew me away because I wanted to tear him down, but he disarmed me with kindness. And that's something we have to learn in America, that, you know, sometimes you got to acknowledge somebody else, and sometimes you got to learn how to say you're sorry. I've been married for 25 years, going on 25 years next month. One thing I learned is, to my woman, I had to learn how to say, I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, I don't know what to say.
We are not going to. That was an incredible story, Ted. We're certainly not going to pull anyone's heartstrings better than that. That was an amazing.
Yeah.
You should consider writing the book.
That is in the book.
Oh, I know.
I'll be back when it comes out. How about that?
That is wonderful, man.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you for sharing such truth and honesty with us. We really do appreciate it, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we're about supporting other people's stories, and holy crap, I'm buying this book. Well said. Sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But that's just a little bit. I mean, there's some stories in there, man. It had me crying. I was like, Pops, wow. You know, he loved this country.
Your father was a tremendous man, tremendous man, and I've read a little bit about him, obviously researching for the show. But I can't wait to read the account, you know, directly from his son.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. So,
Ted,
so
can
Rod,
I ask you how old he was when he passed away?
Dad was 86, I believe.
All right.
Yeah, he outlived the 40 prediction a little bit.
Yeah, and he died last year, and it was hard, you know.
Yeah.
And but he kept fighting. Fighting. I'm telling you, the last day I was with him, the last day I went to church, and some say you got to go be with Dad. I said, okay. Now when I spent most of that day and night with him, and then I finally went home, that's when he passed. But he was fighting. The cancer came back, and I could see him fighting, and he would yell Jesus, but he kept fighting. I said, Pops, I knew he was just trying to stay for us, because he was a man that always wanted to protect his family. He always asked, even when he was His mind wasn't quite like it was, and he was losing a little bit of the memory and everything. But he always asked, "How is the family doing? Do we have to start another business? Can we do?" He'll be doing business plans, and I was like, "Pops, we got this." And finally, I told him, "Dad, I know you're fighting to try to stay here. We got this. If God comes this time, you just go." And the big part of it was, he just squeezed my hand, and I just cried. And a couple hours later, he was gone.
But you're keeping his story, his history,
That-
his legacy
that
alive is
why-
what you're doing.
That is why I'm so happy.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
look and see what Jeff and Rodg has done, I'm so proud. And the Oak Park Brewery team with Kevin Johnson and all the partners, I am so proud to be part of this team. And I'm doing everything I can, you know.
Yeah.
I've been in business before, so I'm doing everything I can because, as I know, you might ask me a little later, so I have a little something for you. But man, I want his dream to continue on. This is about legacy, and it's
Yeah.
about helping people. And if you look at our two brewers, Dad would love this because see, you see one black and one white, but they work as a team like brothers. And I noticed that when I was there. This is what Dad would do because when he went to Oshkosh, they lied on him and said he was going to fire all the white people because it was an all white time and put all blacks in the position. But guess what Dad did? He said, I am, because some blacks asked him to do that too. He said, I am the president of Peoples Beer. And I'm going to make a decision what I'm going to do for the best of my brewery and my community. And what he did was he kept them all. He kept them all. And the ones he said, when I bring in something, if they're black and they're going to work to help us to make, because he used to tell me, son, it's not black or white. He said, money is green.
Love
He
it.
said, so you got to love people no matter what. But then he told me when I first came to Oshkosh, because we were the only black family, he said, you're a Mac. And you got to be able to stand up by yourself at that school that you're at. Nobody's there to back you up. I'll eventually get there, but it might be too late. So you're going to have to stand up for yourself and your brother. Make sure nothing happens and you can't lose. That's one thing he told me. You can't lose. So my wife wonders why I got this dog in me that I just gonna go for it. Because that's what my dad put in me.
Yeah.
You know, when they tricked him, he went to the army and he did a good job. All his brothers went to the army. I mean, all went to the military service. All his brothers, okay? 4 or 5 black men went and served their country. But when they got back here, the Klan tried to lynch him, you know?
Oof.
And he still forgave them, and he's still trying to do what's right, but he's not going to step back. He's going to be strong. He made sure I'm strong, and I make sure my kids are strong. They're all in college. I got one at Wisconsin, one at Valparaiso, and one at FAMU down in Florida. Engineer, and the boys, they speak French. One of them speaks Chinese. My daughter's in the music industry, doing well, about to graduate, and I believe this is her last year. I don't just tell people, I mentor black men and black young men to be better so that they can take care of our women. Because the main problem with family is men. We're not handling our business. The women are. You see all them single mothers, they handling it because we are not handling it. So with Peoples Beer, my father used to say, hey, this is not a black beer. This is not a white beer. This is a Peoples Beer.
I love the name.
And
Love
when
the
he
name.
got there, 19 of his buyers disappeared. They said, we're not buying it. So he lost all his business in one day. Welcome to Oshkosh.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
kind of
But
went
guess what
to
he
the most.
did?
Yeah.
He said, when the going gets tough, son, I send meat. And so he went and saw all 19 of them. And guess what? He got 18 of them back.
Nice.
That's what kind of dude he
There you
was.
go.
Nice.
You know. And the funny thing about it was he was a guy on the brewery. And guess what, guys? He didn't even drink beer.
Yes. He was just a good businessman.
Yeah. But to satisfy his customer, one time they challenged him. You don't even drink this beer. He said, I'll drink it. They said, come on. So he had a drinking contest with all them guys up in Oshkosh, right? That's the first and only time I see my dad come home drunk. He said, boy, them white boys drank me under the table, man. Yeah, you don't drink, you know.
Oh my God.
But he was about helping the people. He was, going to the Chamber of Commerce. He was doing all these things. One of the biggest companies in the city, employing people, doing things, making sure that we handle our business. And he made sure that when we go out and we're out in public, that we represent. He said, you're not representing just yourself. You're representing being a Mac, and you're representing being Black. And I remember when I left, we're about to leave Oshkosh. And I was still taking care of the house because my brother had to finish his senior year. So I took care of the bills in the house because I was working and going to college. But one of the neighbors came to me. I hear y'all moving. I said, yeah. They said, that's so sad. I said, why do you say that? They said, because you helped change our lives. Your family helped change our lives. See, we thought Black was everything that we saw on TV until y'all moved in our neighborhoods. Yeah. Then our kids were over your house eating and sleeping over your house. We saw your father, one of the biggest businessmen in the city. Your mother carried herself with such class, worked for the city. Your kids could not get in trouble because Ted Mack was your son. I mean, you were sons of Ted Mack. And always they carried themselves with class. And they said, thank you, because now we know the truth. And we can't judge nobody by what we see on TV or what we see on the news or the propaganda we hear. They used to call us the real Cosby.
Well, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah.
Your relay of your life and your history just really shows what an immense human your father was.
He was.
And we like hearing about good people. And so now I want to ask Rodg, like, how did you become aware of Ted Mack's story and his history, and what kind of led to this collaboration starting?
So with me, when I got into home brewing, it's like I would always come across maybe one or two few, Black people. Like when I would go out to like breweries, I would see like a Black person, but I always made a purpose, a point to go up and have a conversation with them and see what they know about craft beer. And I just got to the point where I was like, man, it's like, it's like I'm always the only one. I have a background in playing alternative music, and I was always the only one. So even with music, I wanted to know, like, why am I the only one? It's like, if we created this, why am I the only one to this day? So, I just started asking questions. It's like I had a buddy who turned me on to the Belgian style beers. Got to thank Uncle Rob. Pangaea Beer Cafe, Urban Roots. He's a Black owned brewery. And, he just sent me on my journey. I started home brewing. The craft beer community is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So I had an opportunity to get around people who were brewing commercially and home brewers. And just so happened, I met Jeff 15 years ago, Jeff and Becca, at a homebrew day. And which is crazy because it was at the homebrew day of the former owners of Oak Park Brewing. So that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But It's like just being the only one, man. I just started digging deeper, going online, trying to find materials and books. And there was a history that wasn't being told. So I was like, okay, I'm on a quest. Let me see what I can find. And Ted Mack Sr. popped up online. And basically he was the first black person that I knew of that owned a brewery, and which didn't make sense to me because 250 years ago, we were doing everything, the wine, the bread, the cleaning, raising of the kids, and it didn't make sense. And, there was something missing outside of, before Prohibition and after Prohibition. So I just kept digging, and I was like, this name popped up. So I got the information, and lo and behold, having the opportunity to connect with Theodore Mack Jr., this is a blessing, man. I was like, it was destined to happen. So I'm definitely proud to be a part of this process and the legacy in the making and passing it on to the next generation.
It's
So
just
cool.
an incredibly
That's so cool.
powerful story, and we're only 28 minutes in. Wow.
We usually talk a lot more. You guys have us like an hour right now.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
So Jeff, you guys are actually about to honor the 50th anniversary of the purchase of this brewery. So why don't you kind of tell us what that event's about and what the public, at least up in Sacramento, can participate in about a week?
He's on mute.
You got to unmute.
You got to unmute yourself.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. You guys unmuted me. Okay.
Yes.
So, Rodg and I like to call my wife like the third wheel of our group here. So my wife, Becca, she handles all of our marketing, graphic design. She deals with all of our local artists and stuff like that. So she is working together with some other local business owners to put together this event for the 50th anniversary of the Peoples Beer. And it's going to be on Saturday, October 10th. We are having 15 Black-owned businesses come out and set up vendor booths. We are focusing on the release of the Peoples Beer. We're having a Black-owned food truck out to serve food to help relieve our kitchen a little bit, because last time we had a big event, it got kind of swamped and we had like an hour wait. So we are really focusing on Mr. Mack will be up here to be in the our private room that we have. It's called the People's Room. And this is something that one of our owners, Kevin Johnson, had started working on even before we went down this path of brewing the People's Beer. When we first opened, we had a picture of Theodore Mack Sr. up in our hallway as the first African-American brewery owner. And then we also had an artist, Milton Bowens, create a piece about the People's Beer, which is in the back room now. So this has been kind of like a spiritual project of one of our owners, Kevin Johnson, to make this happen. And, this event on Saturday, the 10th, is going to be fun. It's going to be very socially distanced, COVID friendly. We have people doing Instagram Live with all the vendors and things like that. So that way people can watch from their seats. They don't necessarily have to walk around and be in big crowds. So it should be a fun time. We are releasing the beer that day in a new revised 16-ounce beer can that'll have a 50th anniversary kind of logo on it, and a little bit different story on there to kind of highlight some things. So it's going to be a fun event. We're looking forward to it.
That's really cool. I feel this beer will work really well in the 16-ounce size. Like, it's a crushable beer. It should be in a bigger serving size. It's great, man. That's a good idea.
Hi, Emma. How are you?
Yeah, Rodg and I have drank a few of them.
Guess.
The 12-ounce cans just go down super quick and easy, and then like putting it in the 16s will be good, I think. So
yeah, if it was in a pint can, I'd still have some. But right now, mine's gone. It's really good. Yeah. So first off,
is it beer that can be obtained outside of your area, or could be ordered or in these times, or?
So right now, we have one local distribution company, which is called Sakani Distribution Company. They are focused on Northern California. We have sent out, 6-packs to people as they requested them. through the mail, and we don't have distribution outside of Sacramento. But I know that is one of the main things that we are focusing on for the future is how do we grow this brand to be something bigger than a Sacramento brand, because it is a people's beer, and we want people all over the country to be able to hear about the story, read about the story, get to know Theodore Mack Sr. and what he did, and just push this out across the country. So we have some plans in the work, and hopefully in the next month or two, we will have some bigger news on that. So, yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Cool.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, I've really been touched by especially your story, Mr. Mack, and we really appreciate you jumping on with us. I know it's significantly later where you are, but you mentioned something about legacy earlier in your story, and what aspects of your father's legacy do you hope live on in and are honored by this effort of the People's Beer?
Thank you, man. My father was all about legacy. His main concern was not the brewery, but like the beer said, it was about the people. He didn't get People's Beer because he wanted to have a brewery. He did it because it was an opportunity for him to get a seat at the table, and where he felt if we own something, then we truly have power. Having the vote is great, but people tell you that knowledge is power. That's a lie. The only thing that's power is applied knowledge.
Yeah.
And if we can apply it by having it and build up our community, so then we have something that we own, and we can say, we own this, and we can have our people work too, and we can be part of the American story rather than building somebody else's story, making America great. They made America great on them free labor they had that they never paid for.
Yeah. It's easy to get things done when you don't have to pay for it.
That's right. So my father was a man that matched the moment. He taught us this. We can do it if we can do it together, and if we can do it with God, and if we can do it in Black excellence, no one can stop us. He said, as we ride this train toward destiny, we know that delay is not denial. And today, what's going on today is proof of that. The fire of legacy continues. The vision of my father, Theodore Mack Sr. continues. But this time, I want the world to taste this beer. I want the world to know about Theodore Mack Sr. and what he did for others. It wasn't about me, myself, and I. It was about we, us, and how we can do it to the next level. So, I just want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to share about my father. I just pray that he is looking down. I know he's looking over my shoulder in that picture. I hope he's looking down.
Watching you. He's watching you the whole time.
Yeah, I hope he's not watching me. He don't come and say, "Come haunt me tonight." Say, "Boy, you a Mac, boy." But hey, I thank you guys for this opportunity, and I'm very blessed. The family is blessed that we worked this out. This is about business. My dad said, handle your business first, and that's what we did. And then now it's me putting in everything, the whole team is putting everything they can into it. And it's going to be much bigger than, because, you have a recipe for a beer from 50 years ago.
Wow.
And
awesome.
Back then, let me tell you something. When they put out the lie that this is going to be an end beer, and they messing up the beer and it's not worth nothing and it's not going to taste like it is, my father did this. He took it out, sent it to an institute so they could be graded.
Oh.
They came back. They ended up calling my father, but they came back and they said, this is, what did they say, Jeff? This is a, come on, Jeff. You got to remember this one.
Am I on mute? I'm trying to figure out if I'm still on mute.
No, you're not.
You are not on mute.
You're not.
Yeah.
So he ended up sending it out to the Siebel Institute to have it tested, and it's probably the most well-known institution for education and testing of beers. and they said it was a world-class beer, and it ranked up there with the top 1% of beers. So
Yeah.
it was very well done, straight to the recipe. He didn't change it at all, and he probably made it better, you know? So, yeah.
And so here's a beer that they said, they called it, my father said, your beer is one of the best in the country.
Yep.
And so, you know, he had the best in the country. He had people lying on him. He had the U.S. Army said they're going to give him a contract, but what they did is try to bankrupt him. All kinds of stuff like that happened.
Yeah.
Then there were even the Africans heard about it. So rich Nigerian Africans were going to come over and check out people's beer. You know what they did? They canceled their visas, so they couldn't come over.
Oof.
Okay.
Wow.
That's what kind of beer cartel they had going on. And then they did what they call black bagging. If you do your history, black bagging is when they squeeze you off the shell. He brought another brewery, Chief Eyesight. He didn't buy the brewery because, again, Pop's so smart. I'm just going to buy the label and the distribution. He said, that's going to help me as I build these other things, and then we'll make it. And if I make it, there's nobody going to be able to stop me, because he wanted to compete with the big boys. And the big boys knew it. And they knew, I have to stop this because too many blacks drink beer. So if Dad finished the plan that he wanted, there would be a black brewery today.
Yeah.
So, you know, and there is a Peoples beer coming out today through Oak Park, because they reached out to me, and I felt the spirit was right. When I talked to Kevin Johnson, I want to see you. I'm not the guy that gets all excited about your celebrity. I'm not one of them. I don't care who you are. What matters to me is what's in the heart. So you can tell me all kind of lies and all that. I'm gonna be like my dad. I'm gonna look you in your eye, look through you to your soul, and I'm gonna tell you about yourself. Or I may not, and just not deal with you. But when I dealt with him, I felt this is a guy that I can work with. And I told my family that they were kind of no, because people burned my father before because he was too nice and too honest with them. So they're like, no, you don't trust him. Don't trust him. I said, well, I'm gonna have my paperwork in place. But this is a good guy. And what I found out, this is not just a good guy. This is a good company. These are good people. And I'm proud to work with them. This is my new family. And we're gonna run this all the way to the end, just like my father would want it. So he's looking over my shoulder and he's looking down, and I'm sure he's very happy.
You guys better watch out. He's going to be behind you, pushing you if you're not. If you're not moving, he's going to be pushing.
He's going to push me to victory, and that's okay with me. Because
there you go.
I'm going to keep on going until there's no go in me. And I got legacy. I got 2 sons and a daughter.
Nice.
So they're smart. They can handle theirs too. I got nieces, you know. I'm picking a team, and it's not just family. I got a team ready to roll. There's things we got planned. We're planning stuff right now.
Is there a Ted Mack III?
No, I actually, that's a sad story. Yeah, no, it's a sad story.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brandon, but
you that's going to be in the next book. That's going to be in the next book.
No, is it in the book? Is it in the book?
No, I didn't put it in the book. I'm going to give you a personal one here. This is Ted Mack story. I knew for a fact that, I don't know why, but I thought, hey, I was doing something one night with my wife, and hey, I said, I'm going to give you a boy. And I just knew it was a boy. And I was walking around, I was calling him, I was going to name him Trey. And I said he was going to be third. This is Trey. She is pregnant. It's Trey. I'm pregnant. I said, yeah, I know you're pregnant. I told you. But we lost that child. Oh, wow. And that hurt. So when I saw a celebrity lose their child, I know that pain. But I named the child. It wasn't an it. That was my son.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And
Yes.
that's why, there's a Trey, but he's just not here right now. I just put
Got it. Got it. But yes. Brandon, you had a question earlier, you said? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, because it's a very rare opportunity to be able to talk to somebody who has seen and experienced what you have through your father, your family, and the times that were occurring before that we're kind of seeing, people picking up the torch and making a stand, doing things that are important right now in a prolonged period that is refreshing and energized. And I just want to know, having seen the things that proved to be successful back then, are there any elements of standing up, protest, or anything that seemed to work then that you see maybe missing from today, that would be really do well if they were implemented?
That's amazing, because as I read my father's memoirs, because he used to do protests. He did protests with Pabst Blue Ribbon when he was trying to buy blacks. When they did that, he had a marches and protests, but he said, you know what? We used to plan them. See, these days we got Twitter, and you just tweet out, we're going to have a march. That's not how they rolled. They knew who was going to be with them, and they knew that there may be a possibility that the FBI is going to send some rogue characters in to start some stuff that we seeing happen now. These young guys don't even think like that.
Yeah.
Just because they out there with you don't mean they're for you. You don't have no plan in place. You don't have no security in place. You don't have no brothers telling that can shut some people down and they be shut down. You just let whatever happen, because they will send infiltrators in there. And they may not be for you. You can't say, yeah, they're for me just because they marching with me. No, they just waiting to the end so we can do what we need to do, so we can turn this positive thing into something else that they want, somebody else may want to get done. And so then when I heard Trump say he gonna send out the dogs, immediately I thought of Bull Connor. Bull Connor was the one that sent out the dogs back in the day and the fire hose on the kids. But this is what God always does, and he's doing it now. People wonder how he get in office. He gonna give you who you want in your heart. That's who America wanted in their heart. They got what they want. Now, America has a choice. If America's gonna be the America that it needs to be, it's gonna have to learn how to, number one, admit the 400-year history they had. See, this country was founded on hate. This country built its legacy on hate. And my father always used to tell me, you don't have to hate them. You just got to know the truth, son. He said, I want you to think. The favorite thing he would have the family do, we wouldn't be looking at that. He called it the idiot box. We wouldn't be looking at all the Kardashians and all that other crazy stuff. You know what he had us watching when I was a kid? And my wife would trip out when she come to visit the house when I first started dating. And she said, why are the whole family looking at PBS? No. And then when the news hour coming on, we're there debating what we see. Because my dad taught me. He said, listen, he said, son, when I was at Marquette University, I was a bad mamma jamma. He said, if one of the professors came up and said, Mac, you need to take my class. And Dad said, that class is always closed. Nobody can take it every time, and it's closed. He said, no, you come down tomorrow at such and such a time, it'll be open. My father said, okay. My father was there. Professor was there. My father looked, he said, I told you that class is closed. Professor said, someone just dropped out. Could you put Mr. Mack in that class and put Mr. Mack in the class? And afterwards, could you please close it back up? It happened. My dad was in the class. He goes to class. He looks around. He says, wow. He said, okay, this is all the heavy hitters in the school. Either their parents own companies and all this, or they got that money, or they got political influence. And then there's me.
The bad man pajama, of course.
Yeah, and he's on the back. But guess what? The professor asked a question that kind of insulted all those supposedly smart people that were told you had to take this class. He said, "Who discovered America?" And they said, "What? You gonna ask who discovered America?" And they said, "Of course, Christopher Columbus." And they started giving all these unknown facts or little known facts about Christopher Columbus. And the professor started laughing. He said, "Why are you going to regurgitate to me the propaganda of the time?" He said, "Don't you know that you're supposed to be the leaders in society? You're not supposed to fall for our propaganda. But you're just telling us what we tell the majority. Because America is usually a semi-honest society. But for those powers to be in control, we got to change their semi-honesty to something else. We got to change it to something else so we can be in control." Now, this is when my father was in college. This is over 50 years ago. He said the professor went over there and wrote 2 letters on the board. One started with a C, one started with an L. He said, with these 2 words, this is how the powers to be are going to control America in the years to come, maybe 100 years to come. He said, but you got to know it. You got to understand. You can't just read propaganda and believe it's true. That's for the masses to take in, not for the controllers. That's what those 2 words were: conservative and liberal. And if you look at what's going on today, guess who won? The powers to be. Because if you look at it today, I bet the majority of people in the United States don't look at what's right and wrong. They look at what's conservative and liberal, which has nothing to do with right and wrong. It's just whatever the power to be tell you to get you to not look at them and what they're doing. And Dad say, never be fooled. Don't be a fool. Think for yourself. But the majority of America, you looking at Fox News, and Fox News already tell you we ain't gonna tell you all the news. There's some real reporters that quit there because they would not tell the news honestly, because they telling you propaganda. Why do you think this president always on Fox News? It's entertainment, it's propaganda. Right. How do you think Hitler won and changed Germany into Nazi Germany? You had to control the media. And the first thing this president did when he came in, he started talking about fake news. What's the only real news to him? The one that he approves and the one that lifts him up. Mm-hmm. But anything that comes negative to him, it's all of a sudden fake news.
Fake news. Fake news.
It's not fake news.
No, it's not.
It's truth, but he got to get those that they're controlling to believe the lie. And you got 40% of America that believes it. This is something, if you read the book, you read my book, it's in there. Because my dad taught me. So I just talk truth. I tell my sons when I was raising them up, I say, dude, I'm not teaching you to look at your feet and learn how to walk in that path. I'm teaching you to look around the corner so you can see what others do not see. You got to see what they're about to do next. That's why these young brothers that I got, these young sons and my daughter that I have, that's why they doing the things they do. Because Daddy said, hey, and my son would tell me, Dad, thank you. Because one, he was a freshman. They asked him to become the president of the Black Engineering Society. He's a freshman. And he said, Dad, they asked me to become president of the Black Engineering Society. I'm a freshman, I don't know what to do. I told him, do it. He came home, went to church. Bishop Bronner told he went up to Bishop Bronner and said, this is what you got. And Bishop Bronner told him, do it. Because if they see that in you, that's what's in you. And he did it. Now he's a junior. And I told him, what is the issues that you saw? He told me all the issues. I said, well, then that's how you run as a president. You solve the issues. You find out how the solutions. I say a real man is not looking always at the problems. He's looking at the solutions. As I raise a family, there's always problems coming up. I had 2 strokes, 3 car accidents, head-on collisions. A lady got killed. All kinds of stuff has happened to me. After my dad died, I was diagnosed with MS. Have that stopped me? I still got to look for solutions. And now I wrote books during the pandemic. So there's really about 4 books I wrote coming out. And I'm writing a book right now on mentoring men, because that's what needs to be done. Why? Because I'm going to make my voice be heard on whatever platform I have, because that's what my dad taught me. Don't be scared. Go out there and be a man.
Yeah.
Wow, what an inspiration. Wow.
Yeah.
So Peoples Beer to me is just a platform. It's going to be, it's Dad's legacy, and I love it. But it's a platform for me to tell the truth, like Dad would tell the truth. He was not scared of power. Neither am I.
Can I ask you, have you spoken to Garrett Oliver from Brooklyn Brewing?
No.
No, I need to connect you with him, because you really need to talk to him, and he's behind that Michael Jackson Foundation. And you need to talk to him. Like, seriously.
He also tells very powerful stories. On the level of yours, Mr. Mack. I cannot express enough appreciation for the time you have spent with us tonight. Thank you for relaying some anecdotes of your book and of your father's life, and we're so pleased to be able to honor
cheers. Thank you
version,
so much.
this
Thank you.
tribute to your father, Peoples Beer. Cheers to you, sir.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us tonight. You have a wonderful night, man. I really appreciate you spending the time with us.
Can I ask you one question?
Please go ahead.
Please.
This is taped so I can get it, because what I would like to do on the 50th anniversary, I would like to play this back for my people on Facebook. So
no problem. We'll make sure that you get a link to the whole video, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Guys,
I'm blown away. Blown away.
Rodg and Jeff, thank you so much.
Hey man, thank you guys
for getting Mr. Mack to join us on the show. An incredibly powerful speaker, amazing. And we have to handle a touch of housekeeping real fast. Nick and Trevor, hello, and Dan Diego's hello to you. Mr. Babineau, hello to you guys. Holy fuck, was that awesome or what?
That was incredible.
Mr. Mack's an incredible speaker, and I'm very touched by his words, and more importantly, his father's legacy is incredible. And so for you guys out there listening, please look it up. We were not able to cover Mr. Mack's entire life at all. It would be impossible to do in a podcast. If that's what we still do anymore, whatever this is. But that being said, Theodore Mack Sr., look him up there. Of course, there's a whole Wikipedia about his life and legacy. An incredible man. This is a very, very incredible tribute to him. Thank you guys for including us in this moment. It was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Big time.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, the only thing that's been lacking in this beer podcast has been beer. So let's get into beer number 2.
Okay.
Never heard of it. So
it's awesome.
Yes. Let's zoom in on this. Yes. Unfortunately, our guest didn't get the care package in time, but it's Catch Me Coastin from Pariah. You guys have never heard of this beer. I've never said anything about it at all.
Okay. Full disclosure, real quick. My parents drank mine. My parents drank it.
Hey, it's a birthday thing.
I put it in the fridge because I put it in the fridge here at my parents' house, and I come back and I'm like, "Hey, where are the beers?" And my dad's like, "Oh, I drank a few of them, and I'm like, Dad, those are my show beers.
Man, it could have been
He,
worse.
So-
I
he
used it
was
for my
like, "It's my
marinade.
birthday."
You put them in the carne asada. So he came and handed me this.
All right.
I know I can't say no. It is his birthday, you guys. So
That's fair enough. It's a birthday.
Yeah,
Enjoy
yeah.
them to death.
He gave you some mo.
Yeah, he did. But just wanted to let you guys know that. But I have had it before, so please
Yeah,
continue.
exactly.
Sorry.
So for our fans, if you haven't had a chance to try Pariah's Catch Me Coastin, classic West Coast IPA, like what you remember San Diego West Coast being, not what they really were. Meaning, and what I mean by that is a bitterness presence, but not a strong aspirin bitter finish, which is what the entire West Coast IPA foundation was built on, was this crazy bitter aspirin finish. The breweries that are now going back and honoring the West Coast style, newer breweries similar to Pariah that are 3-4 years old at the oldest.
Yeah.
This is what they're brewing now, where you're getting enough of a bitterness backbone to remind you that you used to like bitter beer.
So you guys should get it tomorrow, probably.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
try it tomorrow.
Bitterness wise,
Yeah.
this thing crawls up to the aspirin, like it crawls up to the drugstore and stops at the door. Like the automatic doors open and it says, "You know what? I'm good. I'm going to rely on all of the hot flavors and aromas that are here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm going to go back." So yeah,
It's just
great.
a terrific, enjoyable West Coast IPA. And those of our listeners that know, yes, I drank 27 pints of the first batch, and I'm 12 cans into this one. So if you're keeping score, this is number 39 for the year, which is insane to me.
Weekend's coming up.
Is it though, Brian? Is it though? Come on. It's
No, but it had everything going for it. Like honoring what my mouth remembers as West Coast IPA. A, B, from my obviously favorite brewery in the world, and C, from my really good friend that happens to own this brewery and make amazing beer. So Thank you, Brian. Thank you for Pariah for being amazing. And tomorrow when you guys get it, please, I hope somehow the ice pack lasted long enough, but I'm sure it didn't. So obviously give it a chill before you go in. But
Definitely.
We need to get back to Oak Park Brewing, please.
Yeah.
exactly. So the whole second half of the show is what we would normally do on a show, which is talk to people from a brewery about their brewery.
Yeah.
But obviously the guest was too wonderful.
Too good.
Before
Yeah.
we take another step forward, I do want to point out, for the people that are listening live, San Diego Padres hit a 3-run homer by Tatis and a 1-run homer by Machado, and it's tied 6-6.
It is. I just looked up and saw the TV.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
You left up the fucking. Let's fucking go. Anyways, so it's do or die in the 7th. Let's go Padres. Anyways, so Jeff, you guys recently, a year and a half or so ago, resurrected Oak Park Brewing. So can you kind of tell us what happened to the first version and what's behind this resurrection?
Okay, so the first version, it was some people that Rodg and I both know pretty well. They created this brewery in Oak Park, and the space is incredible. It's got this huge patio, really nicely. It's a nice old school brick building, big windows on the front looking out on Broadway, which is one of the main streets in Sacramento.
Nice.
They did a lot of things right, and they set it up to where everything flows really well. Unfortunately, they ran into some management issues on the business side, and then they kind of let some things slide from that as far as cleanliness goes. So when I was approached to jump in and help resurrect this with a couple of restaurateurs in the area, Chris Uros, who owns Broderick, and then Dana Huey, who owns Mel's and the Cheesesteak Shop, and then Kevin Johnson, who was just getting into the restaurant industry at that time with Fixins.
Wow.
They had the restaurant side of things down, and so when we talked about creating this group of ownership, my wife and I know the beer side of things, and we were like, you guys handle the restaurant, you make sure it's on point, and we will handle the beer side of things. And so we created this partnership, and we opened a little over a year. We just had our 1-year anniversary back in September, but we had a few months of soft opening before that. And so, we really wanted to focus on community inclusion, diversity, and really just making it a warm, friendly place where everyone felt comfortable coming. And I think that's something that we have continued to strive for in our mission statement, and we will continue to push forward for inclusion and just a fun, safe place where everyone feels welcome. And it's been a really fun journey. We spent a lot of time cleaning the place up. I spent 3 months, 4 months just cleaning all the brewing tanks, redoing
fun.
everything, stripping everything down to the
Sounds
base,
awesome.
oiling everything, and so it's been a fun journey, and we're looking forward to what the next year or two have to come as we continue to grow and expand. So
So may I ask how we know what's happening in San Diego with COVID. Were you guys still able to remain open? Were you able to serve outside? Like how does that work in Sacramento?
So when COVID first hit, we ended up, unfortunately, we had to lay all of our staff off, other than myself and 2 chefs. So we went for to-go only 7 days a week so we could stay open and still kind of try to keep our name relevant. At the time, we didn't want to close down and just kind of fade away over this period. So, it was myself and my wife. We would work behind the bar. We would, fill growlers and get cans to go. And Rodg would come in and help brew on days we needed help brewing and canning. And then we would have one chef here and just focus on to go. And once things kind of open back up, fortunately, we have this giant patio. So we ended up moving all of our tables outside to the patio. So once we were able to do patio outdoor dining, we have been blessed to some extent because our capacity didn't really change much because we moved all of our tables outside. And we've had a tremendous support from the Oak Park and Sacramento communities, and we can't thank them enough for everything they've kind of supported us through this tough time as a business. So right now we just opened up 2 days ago to 25% in-room dining, and I'm looking at 15 people inside here now, and the patio's full, and there's people waiting outside. So, we can't thank the community of Oak Park and Sacramento enough for the support they've shown during this pandemic.
Wow.
Those 15 people are loud. Those 15
They are,
people
right?
were
Yeah.
loud
They're watching the Padres game right now.
By the way, Myers hit a home run and we're fucking ahead in the 7th. Don't celebrate too early, Stella. Don't clap too hard.
My whole family's asking me, Stella, what's happening? What's happening? I'm like, stop it.
Nobody say don't count
Nothing.
Yeah, it's rad. Don't push it. But okay.
I told my mom to go light a candle. We're okay. We're okay.
All right. Exactly what we can do. So, Rodg, when did you join Oak Park? And then obviously, when did you come back after they reopened?
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because before the brewery even opened up, Jeff vetted me like a year before, like 12 months before the brewery even opened, and I turned it down. I was like, there ain't no money in brewing beer. Like, I already did the research.
There really isn't, though.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
Yeah. So, he was like, hey, man, well, just kind of think about it. Let's revisit the conversation in like 6 to 8 months and yada, yada, yada. So I'm at home one day and I get a voice message from Kevin Johnson. Hey, Rodg, this is Kevin Johnson, man. I want to talk to you. And I'm like, all right,
talking KJ, right?
Fucking with me.
KJ,
I'm like, one of my friends are like, I'm thinking like somebody's prank calling me or whatever. And shortly thereafter, I got a text message from Jeff, and I was like, oh, this is legit.
This for real.
And something that I've learned over the years is like never turn down, just see what's going on. It's like stick your head through the door and see what's going on. So I sat down with Kevin, and it didn't make sense. I was like, man, I'm already here. Why would I take 4 steps back? Yada, yada, yada. But long story short, it had to make sense. Sitting down with Kevin, talking to Becca and Jeff, when Kevin started talking about the vision, it correlated with what I was already doing. That's how I found Mr. Mack Sr. I was already working on something to showcase the story that wasn't being told. And I was like, okay, let's make it make sense. He had the resources, henceforth, the Peoples Beer. that came about. So it was all about resources, connections, yada yada yada. And I'll never forget this. So when I was walking out with Kevin, I'm like, okay, this is Kevin Johnson. I don't get starstruck. He doesn't know me. I was a rock star in my world. So he goes, hey man, just to let you know, I'm not the average person. I was like, touche. So when we got out on the outside of the office door, I was like, hey, just to let you know, I'm not the average person either.
Nice.
So long story short, it made sense. I love what we're doing. We're more than a brewing company. It's like our hearts are in the right place. We're humans. If we mess up, we'll own it. But right now, it's like, man, we got everything to gain in the world, and we can change things. So yeah. So I hope that answered the question.
It was so much more than the answer I was looking for, but thank you. I mean, by the way, you guys are terrific guests. So
oh wow, thank you. Definitely don't try.
Well, I will say this. I think because you guys have live stream experience, you know that the answer to a question is not yes. We appreciate your excellent content, man. So Jeff, if you could try to encapsulate like your overall brewing philosophy, try to relay that to us. What's inside your head that we're trying to taste?
So from my brewing standpoint on this venture, it's changed from where it originally started, right? So this venture with opening up a restaurant and trying to serve the people that are sitting down and enjoying the food that we produce. Originally, I wanted to create beers that were low alcohol with lots of flavor. And so when we first opened, the first 6 or 8 beers we had were all under 6.5%. So our West Coast IPA was 6.5%, and everything else was under that, because I want people to sit down, at a community table, have a couple beers, eat their food, enjoy both, and be able to leave in a good place and not fall over drunk. So, I think creating beers with a lot of flavor and that are approachable from a wide demographic. And one thing that Rodg has truly brought to the table is this outside perspective. We brewed a Groot ale the other day with no hops, with some hibiscus, and it's super approachable. It's kind of blends between the wine and the beer side of things. So those people who like seltzers, we're like, hey, try this beer. It's got like plum, dark raisin. It's got a little acidity to it. And, we really think here at Oak Park that there's a beer for everyone, right? People may say they don't like beer, but I think truly that there is a beer style that people will enjoy, whether it's a Groot or a lager or an IPA or a triple IPA. Like the spectrum's so big that there is a beer out there for everyone. I truly believe so. Yeah,
they just haven't found the right one. I absolutely agree with you on that.
If you think you don't like beer, find one of us that are on this show. I'll keep throwing beers at you until they stick. And
you're definitely a flavor profile. We will totally help you out.
Yeah, exactly. but we'll tell you what to buy, so it'll all work out. All right, Rodg.
Except for the Catch Me Coastin, you drank them all.
Well, that is not my fault.
That's fair to say. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, friend.
I warned people for 27 beers in a row. No one should be shocked I drank 12 more. Anyways, but Rodg, are you ready for the speed round? It's very important.
Okay, what's the speed round?
You answer these questions
right now.
Wow. Rapid fire questions about your brew house. So, what is your brew house size?
7 barrels. We can go to 10.
Excellent. What is your fermentation capacity?
14 to 21.
And how many barrels roughly do you guys think you produced last year?
Well, we were only open for a year. It was half of the capacity. I'll say about 1,500, 12 to 1,500.
That's pretty good for year one. That's cool with the 7-barrel brew house. That means that you did like 4 turns a week, 5 turns in some weeks. Good job. And that means that looking forward, you're starting double batches. And anyways, I'm good with brew. I'm good with brew house math for whatever reason. Sorry.
Okay.
You are. You're pretty sharp on it.
Yeah.
What was your top selling beer so far?
There's
Oh my
3
God,
of them.
Tatis just hit another home run. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Home
sorry.
run Tatis. Home run Tatis,
Oh my
guys.
God,
It's 9-6.
2 home runs in a row. We're up 8-6. Wow.
9-6, isn't
8-6.
it?
Or
8-6.
9-6.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got my glasses
9-6,
on. I can
guys,
read that far
9-6.
away.
But
The-
it ain't
Oh my God.
over.
I'm sorry. We're
It's
sorry,
not
guys.
over
We're
yet,
sorry.
but
We're
these
sorry.
guys are amazing. So, anyways, back to you. Top selling
Back
beer.
to you,
left.
Raj, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So,
Top selling beer.
so
Hey,
with the
we're gonna
Padres-
we're gonna sing happy birthday to my dad real quick. I'll be right back. Right
Okay.
back.
No, we got to sing happy
We could sing
birthday
too,
before I
yeah.
answer these questions.
Yeah.
We all got to sing happy birthday before I answer these. Quick
She
round
left.
I
questions.
don't think we get. I don't think we get included.
We don't get privileged
okay.
to that.
All right,
Okay.
That's a
We don't
premium.
have-
You gotta
we don't
pay.
have
You gotta pay extra
Okay.
for that.
No,
Yeah,
so it's a toss up, man. If you look at numbers, we have 3 beers that are moving extremely well. That's going to be our Oak Park IPA, also our Lookup Lager, and our Mystic Cloud Hazy IPA. So it fluctuates. We're still trying to figure that out, but those beers are moving extremely well. And yeah, so I can't call it unless I look at the numbers and pinpoint it down to the like 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. But those are the top 3 that are moving extremely well.
All
That
3
is
very,
it.
very
That's
on
great.
trend with consumer,
Yeah.
appetite.
It is,
it
yeah.
makes a lot of
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there anything real quick? I don't want to break up the speed round, but we already did with the whole
Yeah.
happy birthday thing. So, are there any beers that you've put out where you're like, man, I really wish that people were more into this beer, but you love them?
That's a really good question, man. And Jeff and I, it's like my first commercial recipe was a brown. I'm a big brown fan.
Yes,
but I
thank you.
love reds, and I know looking at the if you look at what's going on in the market, that's a hole that needs to be filled. And I think that we have reds and a brown that can fill those gaps because, and in my perspective, I brewed my brown around one brown in particular that's not around anymore. That was everywhere I went. And if it was there, that's what I was drinking because it was that good. So I think that there's a gap that needs to be filled with the reds and the browns.
I'm seeing people more go for like amber, red, and browns these days because they're looking for comfort in this COVID age. And even myself, I've been kind of gravitating. I wish there was something out there I could get, but if you go to the grocery or something like that, it's not really available. You have to almost go to a brewery now to get an amber, red, or a brown, which used to be the most ubiquitous styles around. It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, let's close it out.
I'm like, are we on to beer 3? Did I miss beer 3?
No, not at all. You're fine.
Did you guys sing happy birthday?
Yeah,
we
you
did.
Okay.
We did Feliz Cumpleaños.
I was
Okay,
waiting
so
for
we
it.
got to
Yeah.
sing happy birthday here for your dad. All 6 of all
Yeah, I'm like,
five,
he's-
6 of us.
He's over there. I just scarfed down a piece of carne asada really quick too.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
You did good.
Okay, so she didn't catch me, Coastin, but she did get carne asada. I don't feel sorry
Yeah.
for you anymore.
Absolutely. not.
She's
You are
like-
winning. You are winning.
she's-
Well, and
She's like, happy birthday. happy birthday. Yeah, I got to get back.
My dad's 87. My dad's 87.
Hey,
I
that's
gotta,
a
I gotta
blessing, man.
celebrate
Tell
with
him happy
him.
birthday for all of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And he seems
He's,
like a
he's
cool
eating
dude
cake
to
right
boot.
now, guys. He's right here eating cake.
Yeah.
that's right.
He's like right next to me.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be a good luck for us.
Yeah.
So, Raj, to close out the speed round, how many beers do you guys usually have on tap?
We try to have 16, but right now I think we have about 13. We have 3. We have a cider on tap always, and I think we have a hazy and a lager just because people are drinking our hazy and our lager like quick. We can't produce it.
Yeah.
It's like it's going.
That's a
Distribution
good
on
problem
the
to
top.
have,
Yeah.
though. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sac is a big hazy region. Right?
Cake.
Hazy.
Yeah.
It's a
Cake.
it's a
Most of the
big
times I go up there,
IPA
it's
region.
all about
Hazy,
hazy.
West Coast, just yeah. They
right.
like their hops up here, definitely.
Cool.
That's great.
We can identify.
So, speaking of beers, I mean, we haven't mentioned one that you guys just released called "Drink This and Vote," which
Yes.
I didn't dig into it, but Glossy Overcoat sounded like I really liked the message of this beer. So why don't you tell us what's the message behind the beer and what is the beer?
Okay, so
that's you, Jeff, right?
okay, that's me. I'm chiming in here. Okay.
Yeah.
So the message, we'll start with the beer itself. So the beer we brewed, the two of the ladies that we worked with, they like their hop, so they said we want something hoppy. So we decided to do like a 6% hazy IPA with Strata, Eldorado, and a little bit of CTZ in the dry hop. And so it's going to be a very hoppy. We dry hopped it at 4 pounds per barrel, 2 dry hops on it, and it's going to be a very hoppy, lower ABV, 6.1% beer. And the idea behind it is that in order to kind of keep the world moving forward and keep equality moving forward, you need to stand up and speak your voice, right? And one way to do that is through voting. And if you're not voting, you're not speaking your voice, and you're not making it known what you believe in and what you stand up for. And so we have partnered with these other 2 women, and we have created this Drink This and Vote campaign where we're trying to encourage everyone in the community and underserved communities to stand up and vote and speak your mind and say what's right and what you believe in. And so we opened it up to all these artists, graphic designers. We let them submit these posters that we would put on the beer label itself. And so I think we got like 15 to 20 submissions of different label submissions throughout this process, and we narrowed it down to 4. We let people vote on which 4 were the top 4. And so we have these 4 different labels that we're going to put on the mix 4-pack. So when we can the beer next Friday, we're going to have one of these art pieces from 4 different artists on the can itself. So it'll be 4 different artists on a 4-pack, which is pretty cool. And that's one thing that we have truly focused on here, is promoting local art and trying to, just put that out there. And all of our labels are done by local artists, which is amazing. So
nice. Very cool.
That is again, you guys are bringing the heat tonight. A terrific message and a great effort.
Thank you.
One thing to say.
Yes.
If we're talking about voting, shouldn't it be a more transparent style? I'm kidding.
Sometimes, yeah, you're right. I can't even come back to that one.
Although if there was ever a cloudy election, it's this fucking year.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God.
You serve somebody the beer, they're like, I'm not accepting that.
Oh my God.
Tied up in litigation. That's what it's going to be.
And so one thing we're going to have on. One thing we are going to have on the can label, which we just found out today, is that there's going to be a QR code. So like when you buy the beer on October 9th, you could scan the QR code and it's going to take you to a web page where you can register to vote.
Yeah,
that's
something that's very cool to just try to help streamline that process and make voting more accessible to everyone. So
that's awesome. I love
that.
It.
Was great.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Thank you guys. Cool. That is that's tremendous, and we're going to close it out with a couple questions in that direction. But it's time to get through what we drank. This is a very, very complex segment where we talk about what we drank before we were on the show. Let's start with Abel. We haven't even talked to you hardly at all tonight, sir.
I know, Abel. You're so quiet today.
You've been very pretty.
Go Astros.
You've been very pretty. Yeah. No. Anyway, I love you, sir. And what were you drinking tonight? Yes.
Tiny bubbles. Yes.
Right on, sir.
Yes.
And
actually, the last thing I drank last night was actually the Cutwater Valley High Mai Tai.
You shouldn't admit that.
But since they're hitting home runs right now, I figured I'd just show this. And, I don't know if you guys had this yet.
I have not.
It's got a very good lime kind of taste to it. The key lime to it.
It's key lime pie, right?
Yeah, it's key lime. Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like a margarita.
Right on.
So it's like
Okay.
So if we were allowed at the stadium and you know how that reflection off the freaking top building hits you when you're behind home plate and you're super fucking hot, it sounds like it'd be a perfect
I never
beer.
sat behind home plate, but sure.
I'm sorry. You should try it.
Why?
My tickets are in the park. I'm sorry. I park in the park.
Get on my level, bro. No, just if I ever paid for Padre tickets, I'd be in the park with you. I'm just lucky. I work for a company that has season tickets. It's really cool.
And yes, go Stros.
Yeah, maybe next year for all of us. But Mr. Hernandez, what about you? What were you drinking before the show, sir?
I scratched the long-standing COVID era itch and went for a comfort beer for me and got a 4-pack of them of Saison DuPont.
Yes,
Yay!
Oh, wow.
Classico.
And it was just pleasant, easygoing. There's nothing. It's an archetype of a beer, but it's just a really easygoing beer at the end of the day too for what it is.
Huh?
It was great. It just hit the right spot for me, and it was great. Pretty spectacular.
And it's an amazing classic beer. yes.
Yes. Mess with him, please.
Look at that shirt, though. Look at that shirt. I mean, that's a classic right there.
That's a
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So speaking of Jeff, what was the last beer you drank before joining us on the show?
Before joining you on the show, I drank our
tell the
unfiltered-
truth, Jeff.
I drank our unfiltered pale ale, the Static Zappa. It has the Zappa hops, a little Idaho 7, and a little Mosaic in it. 5.2%, super clean.
Nice.
And the Zappa hop provides a ton of like grassy, minty character that it's not like any of our other beers that we have produced. So it's super approachable and different for me. So is that right, Rod? Is that what I drank last, or did I drink? I don't remember. It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day, so we've drank a lot.
I popped in on your live video earlier. You guys were not hesitant with the beers, so
it's chill out and have a cold one. That's what it's all about. Forget all the worries and the woes. Let's kick back and let's kick back.
That's awesome, man. So, what about you, Rog? Last beer before being on the air?
Man, I've drank a seltzer.
Yeah, the seltzer.
Soul Rock Pale Ale.
Soul Rock Pale Ale, yeah.
Stout King Imperial Stout. The Static Zappa. I got a Peoples old school 1970s beer can. So then I got these two. I got another seltzer from Bike Dog and a hazy Riot IPA, double IPA from Bike Dog. So it's been a long day.
I'm like, Rob, you've been drinking all that today?
No.
I gotta go hang out with you.
No.
Yeah, you guys need to come hang out. We know how to do it up here.
So it's all about, so all of these beers were given to us for quality control. So, sensory, it's all about sensory.
Doing his part. You got to love a guy who does his part.
QC is important, man.
Yeah. So
we actually have a question. Somebody's asking, how does Zappa compare to Centennial, say, circa 2016?
Wow, that's a good question.
We have really good fans.
You guys got smart fans.
Yeah, we do.
Bad man pajamas.
The Zappa that we have, I think it is very kind of grassy and it's very green and kind of minty and it's hard to explain because it's a flavor I've never really tasted before from a hop.
Yeah, so Jeff, if I can chime in. So this hop variety was found in the wild.
Oh.
So it's just somebody just happened to come by it in New Mexico. And of course, New Mexico is like a desert, it's a desert. So it's definitely something different. So when we saw it, I gravitated towards it because of Frank Zappa. I was like, well, shit. Frank Zappa, who has his last name
How did I
Zappa?
not know that? I was like, that's why you're going to like it.
Yeah. So, once we got our hands on it, we produced our Static Zappa, which is an unfiltered pale ale. And we're loving it, So I'm definitely looking forward to brewing it again, but it's definitely a new hop. It's definitely a native of New Mexico. So I don't know if a lot of people have access to it, but it's definitely one that we're going to utilize.
It is extremely hard to get. I reached out to all my brewer friends in the greater Sacramento area and outside, and luckily we have a pretty good connection with Brewer Supply Group. Raj has a long-standing relationship with our sales rep, and she found us 11 pounds of it that came. I don't even remember where it came from, but it came from far away. We got it. So we're able to do it again. So
Yeah. So shouts out to Lady Emily.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So any of our listeners in Sacramento, if you want to send us some of that beer so we could try it out, we'll take it. Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll send you guys a
Right.
fun pack. Raj, put it on our to-do list for tomorrow. I'll write it down. Where'd my pen go? I got it. Yeah.
That's freaking terrific, man. So let's what did I do? I screwed it all up on my end. Great. Nothing happened to you guys. That's wonderful. So let's get into beer 3. Unfortunately, our guests will have to wait till tomorrow to taste this amazing beverage. But
we're gonna hit you guys up at like 8 a.m. in the morning and be like, hey, we're ready.
First off, don't worry about that. I'm a construction manager. I'm up at 6.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
that's great. So Stella's our model tonight. Clever Kiwi from the Burgeon. These guys are just amazing and killing it in San Diego. If you're not
Good
familiar with them,
citizens, too.
Jeff and Rodg, they're very, very good brew citizens. And so it's a Nelson hopped Pilsner. It's as clean as it gets, sparkling. The Nelson pops just enough to keep it in line with what a lager should be. And thank you, Burgeon, for an amazing beer.
And this is actually one of my favorite beers. So, like, if I see it on the menu, this is what I'll order. And I didn't get to do what I drank last, aside from the Modelo.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was
Pinstripe Lager.
Pinstripe Lager.
That's a cool label.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did really good. So, obviously when you're the size of Ballast Point, you can afford to do that officially licensed by type of collaboration.
Yeah.
Whereas not all of the Padre beers in San Diego have been on that level. And so it's really cool that at least we could get one that has that type of artwork.
Hey, Brian, can I say something real quick, though?
It was
Please.
This is the beer that you gave me.
Oh, yes. Passion of the Kiwi.
I didn't get the clever Kiwi. I got the passion of the Kiwi.
I know. I got that one too.
I also,
but that's all I got. I only got those 3 that you gave me. I never got that one.
What?
You've had it. You've had
unless
it.
I gotta go yell at my roommate for drinking it. I don't know. I never got it.
I think you got roommated, dude.
She would never do that.
I mean, at least
My
you live
parents
with
took mine. I mean,
at least you live with a cool roommate. But
So is this whole thing doing anything for you guys in Sacramento?
Yes, right. While we're talking about the beer that we have down here, you don't.
So this came out on Tuesday, you guys. It's only available at the tasting rooms. You can buy it in the 4-packs. Definitely get out there and get it. It helps our Padres, please.
Yes,
I know they're starting to lose their lead here.
We're 3 outs away from tomorrow, so shut up.
Sorry, I apologize.
Rog, for people that are maybe our fans down here in San Diego or even in between, overall, what's the Oak Park experience like for a first visit? Like, what are you hoping the world senses about Oak Park when they come and visit your establishment?
That's a great question, man. And Jeff Beck and I, and the Powers that Be, we talk about that a lot. So we definitely want to be a hub where people can come and feel safe. We have a full kitchen, we have a full bar. Of course, we brew our own beers. We have a seltzer program. In a couple weeks, we're going to be launching our NA program. We're definitely doing a group program. So we want people to be able to come in and have something. Okay. So even with the kids, we're versed. We want the kids to be able to come in and color, play games, run around. It's like, man, we want it to be a safe haven and a place in the community to where people can come and hang out and know that they can have a good time, good food, good drink, and socialize. So that's our mission. We're here for the community. We are the community. I live right down the street. Nice. Jeff used to live right down the street. KJ grew up in Oak Park, and half of our staff, they live in Oak Park. So, we're out. We're a beer for the people. Nice. A brewery for the people. So yeah.
So let me ask you guys this. You said you have about 13 beers on right now. What have you guys been drinking the most right now? Just give me one beer that you guys have been drinking the most.
Of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Rod. You can take it first.
Hey,
I know which one you've been drinking. The Stout
What am I
King.
gonna say?
Stout
Stout King. Stout King. So that's the Stout King was brought in by an artist named Jupiter. He had an art piece. He came in and he approached us to do a beer. He wanted to pair it with a beer. He wanted to do a coffee stout. We were all about it. Becca, Jeff's wife, she was following him online. He popped in one day and we just ran with it. So with what he wanted to do, we were like, hey, can we be creative on our side? You're about your art. Let us be about our art. And, it's a very complex beer. We brewed it with hazelnut coffee and also toasted coconut. It's I can't remember the ABV on it. I think it's like 9.5.
No, it's 11, bro.
Okay, and that's what I was drinking earlier.
That's why you can't remember. That's why you can't remember.
But it's definitely one of our most complex beers. But it's also one of those beers that I'm proud of all of our beers. But that's one that I've been drinking for a while, and we're actually going to do a vertical. We have kegs set aside where we can do verticals on it, and yeah, definitely Stout King. Say it with a southern twang when you order it. Stout King.
You gotta mean it.
Is that how you have to order it? Okay, cool. I got it. Jeff, what about you? What have you been? What are you drinking right now?
The Static Zappa. I'm just drawn to that hop flavor and character, and since we released it, I think a week and a half ago or so, that's all I've been drinking. So it's fitting my palate right now. I'm a hoppier, lighter ABV fan, so the hobby pale ales, we dry hop like IPAs, so I think those are kind of up my alley right now. So yeah.
Okay. Right
Excellent, on. Man. That's great. And while we have you, Jeff, before we move on to close us out, you guys have just mentioned story after story about supporting your community. If you could try to break down all the ways that Oak Park is currently supporting your local community. I mean, I know of the Peoples Beer, Drink to Vote, and the other efforts that Rodg mentioned just 2 seconds ago, but I have this feeling that like every beer has a benefactor and a mission with your brewery, looking from the outside in, and that's what it looks like. What does it feel like from your side?
That's our goal, is to support the community of Sacramento and more specifically Oak Park. But we have branched out from that. We have we did a NorCal Fire Relief Fund fundraiser the other night. We've partnered with nonprofits to raise money for them. We have special events where we close down our patio and we have them come out and rent out the place, and we donate all the proceeds to that. We're obviously part of the Black is Beautiful campaign. That was a priority for us, and we partnered with the Stevante Clark Foundation, the I Am SAC, I believe it was, to support the gentleman, Rodg, what was his name again? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on it. Stephon Clark, right? Yeah. His brother, who was unfortunately murdered by the police here in Sacramento. So we are really trying to support everything that we can that fits our core values, and that's local, it's diversity, it's inclusion, we've done beers with the Pink Boots Society for women in the brewing industry. We are, we've partnered with local artists on every beer label we've done. So we're here to promote and help just grow the community of Sacramento. One thing that we've done is we partnered with this local organization called We Are Sacramento. And the gentleman who's kind of running it, Mario, he's from El Salvador. He wanted to brew a beer that was, he's Hispanic, so he wanted to brew a beer that was the same kind of color as he was. And
I'm like, wait, what did you guys make? Talk to me. What did you make?
It was an amber.
I'm listening here.
An amber Pilsner. So a style no one's probably ever heard of or done before.
I've never heard of that.
We added some darker malts to it to give it some malt complexity, but it is a classic Pilsner. And with that beer and that program, Mario, he goes around and he photographs people's hands, like working class people, to show how all of our hands are connected. Like you grab a beer the same way I grab a beer. You turn a wrench the same way I turn a wrench. You make beer the same way as, I make beer. You flip a burger the same way I flip a burger, regardless of your color. Your hand mannerisms are all the same, and that's kind of what he feels ties us as a people. And that's been a fun one. The Sacramento Kings are super interested in that beer because of the message that it has behind it. So I think at Oak Park we just really focus on community and our staff and the patrons that come in here, and just trying to include everyone and be a place that people feel they can come hang out, no matter gender, ethnicity, race, religious beliefs, whatever it is. Like, we want to include everyone. Yeah.
So can I ask what your Black is Beautiful beer was? Like, what style did you make? And do you still have it available in case anybody wanted to go get it?
Unfortunately, it is all gone.
Okay.
It sold out pretty quick.
Yeah.
We do plan to brew it probably every year, and it was a little lower ABV than what was the original recipe had quoted, kind of shot for. But we like to do more approachable beers that are lower in ABV. So, it came in at like 8%. We took out some of the more astringent roasted malts and went with a softer dark malt to kind of just make it a little softer on the palate. And it sold really well. And, Rod, even today, he was working with one of his friends that he's known for a long time about something that he could speak more of, that we're trying to get involved in to help people outside of the country. So, Rod, you want to talk about that at all?
Absolutely. International charitable efforts. They must be mentioned.
Yeah. So basically, I was actually on a conference call before I jumped on here. So, I have some friends that have a nonprofit. They do things all around the world. In particular, in January, they're going to be traveling to Thailand, and they're going to be dealing with, victims of human trafficking. And one of their main focuses is art supplies, and they're also going to focus on women this year. So we need items with that pertain to female hygiene. Just being connected with KJ and what he does, I gotta, we have to be a part of this. My friend, she's tied to that organization, and I met her in 2009 when I went to Cuba. And we've been solid ever since, and we've stayed connected. And when she hit me up and told me what she was doing, I was like, hey, I want to be a part of that. I met with Gabriel tonight on a Zoom. It's like a virtual conference. We're doing it.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
We're doing it. It's like there's no, we're forward thinkers, and we're always gonna put it out there for those affirmations. We're doing it. It's gonna happen. And I hope if you guys want to be involved, there's different aspects. We'll get information to everybody. But we got a couple months to do it. We're gonna make it happen. And man, if anybody wants to contribute, we're definitely gonna have the information on OP Brew Co.com.
Okay.
And so man, we're more than a brewery, and we do more than brewing beer. So it's like there's no me, there's we.
Yeah.
And this is a message that we've kind of focused on this year, is that this is what the world needs more of, is less me, more we. Like thank you guys for what we see as being part of the solution and not part of the problem. It just a very powerful episode. Thank you guys for joining us, and more importantly, thank you for being stellar human beings. Thank you, I really appreciate it. So we have one big
just
news
keep doing
item.
you, boo. Just keep doing you, boo. You get
it.
I'll let Brian talk about the news item because he's going to go.
Yeah,
and
well,
that's rad. So,
absolutely, I'm definitely going. So this weekend, West Brew is opening. How brave of someone to open a brewery in the middle of this pandemic. But West Brew is going.
It's gorgeous, you guys. I went for the soft opening. It's beautiful.
Is that
awesome.
you? Is that you, Estella?
It's not Estella's brewery.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's not mine.
Oh, it's not you?
No.
Estella's place will be open if we're lucky by the end of the year. We're hoping,
Yeah.
or maybe next year. But
keep us in mind.
Yeah,
keep us in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
But West Brew's grand opening is this weekend. As Estella said, the place is gorgeous. A lot of the key staff are people from craft brew that you know very well. It is a ticketed event. There's still tickets as of at least an hour ago when I checked. Westbrew.com, a very easy website to remember. So they've got 5 sessions to keep everyone safe and everyone social distance. They've got 6 or 7 beers that'll be on, at least 6, maybe 7.
And they have 5 different flavors of seltzer also.
All right, they've got the seltzer flight going. That's cool. And the coolest part for us and you guys, they're next week's guest. So this is another reason why I'm going. No tickets required to our event, but another reason why I'm going this weekend is to pick up the beers that we're going to drink on the show next week. So congratulations to West Brew. That's westbrew.com to get your tickets. They are not expensive, but the reservation and the ticket thing is more about the COVID restrictions than anything
price
else.
Goes towards your purchase. So anything you spend there goes towards your beer. So it's a wash.
It's not like like an anniversary party where it's $50 to get in and they're going to give you a glass and you still have to buy beer. It's not like that. It's just it's really to keep like I said, to keep the social distancing and keep the capacity limited to their regulations so they keep everyone safe. And we really respect that and keep shouting out the businesses in San Diego that are taking COVID seriously and keeping you and their staff safe. I mean, it's a two-way street. If you're walking into places where their mass restrictions and their distancing between tables and stuff is lax, that translates through more aspects of the business. And so that's, just stay safe, San Diego. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Not good enough, but our numbers are going down. Keep them going that way. We don't want to end up having to make our wonderful businesses in San Diego, bars, restaurants, and breweries, have to shut down for a third time. That would be, just horrible to those businesses. So fucking wash your hands. Fucking wear your
a mask. It's tied up. Oh, wait.
It is not tied up. Shut your mouth,
Don't
Jeff.
be like that.
Still ahead.
Stop it, Jeff. Stop it.
I will take you off this video, Jeff.
Okay.
But
somebody
scored last inning. I didn't even know
they got closer.
They did,
It's 11-9, but we still only need 3 outs. So we gotta do our march out of here. So we can't do this show without the support of amazing people, and that's everyone listening and commenting. If you support us at $6 a month or more, that's the pint level, through patreon.com/CNDBeerShow. I have to shout you out, and these are the people that get their shout out this week. That's Ben, Bill, Brian Gould, Captain Eli.
Gould.
By the way, Captain Eli, you won a prize. Fucking email me so I can get it to you. Casey, Dan Diego's who's listening. Dante from Pariah, David Martin, the original producer of the show. We fucking love you. Doug, Garen,
I love you
from
too,
Beer Alien. Greg from Stone, the Indie Beer Show brand, COVID-19 pandemic, socially distancing, Zorball, LLC. Thank you, Greg and Maggie, for making me say that. Hoppy Craftsman Podcast, James, Jared, Jason, Jess from Ale Tales, Joaquin from Quaff, Joseph Sokor, Joey from Hoppy Beer Gear, Juan, Judith, Ken, honorary patron for life, Larry Smith, we miss you and love you. Liz from Hopsbauer, Matt and Candace Babineau watching, Matt from The Perfect Pour, Miguel, Mr. Peacock from Tapcraft, we love you. Mike Sahagan, Nathaniel, Norman, OC Brew Girl, Pacific Beer Chat. We are doing a collaboration show with our friends in Canada. October 22nd. We're doing international collaboration podcast. Robert from 13 Point, Rudy from Jolly Spaceship, Sergio Nigos, and Vegas J, who soon we have very limited time about this pun. So Jagus Vay, we love you. Soon he's moving to Portland. We're gonna have to call him Portland J. I don't know about that. Jordan Pay. I like it still works. It's just horrible. Oak Park Brewing. Let's make Rodg do it. What are the best social media channels to keep up with everything Oak Park Brew Co?
Man, you can find us on OP Brew Co. all platforms.
Excellent, man.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Glitter. Pepperoni.
I don't know that one. Okay.
It's this new one, Glitter. That's right.
All right. I don't know that one. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Yeah.
If you want to reach us, we're at Cheers at Indie.Beer. We're at Indie Beer Show on Twitter, The Indie Beer Show on Insta and Facebook. If you want to leave us a voicemail, by the way, our patron Garen Varner is who left me the voicemail that I have. So unfortunately the audio quality was really bad, and I've been trying to enhance.
Send it to our producer.
Enhance. So
send it to our producer.
I literally was about to say I've given up. I'm sending it to Abel to try to get it a little better.
Man. Thanks for making me second best.
No. I'm fucked, and I'm calling in the ringer. What do you mean? Anyways,
the real plumber now.
Should have just sent it to him from the beginning. But okay.
Thank you, Estella. I appreciate that. Anyways, we love you. But if you want to leave us a voicemail, it's 619-798-6038. Once again, Oak Park Brewing, you guys were phenomenal.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having us. We had a blast.
Yes!
For Jeff, Rodg, happy birthday to Estella's father,
Feliz cumpleaños!
son of Abel Sr. My name is Brian. You've been listening to the Indie Beer Show.